Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Abiola. In today's tutorial, we'll be taking the sewing version of the jumpsuit I posted yesterday. The first thing we'll be doing in today's tutorial is to take in the darts that were marked in our last video. Here's the back part of the jumpsuit and here is the front part of the jumpsuit, both the lining and the main fabric. And here is the trouser part, and as you can see, all the darts have been properly marked. The first thing I will do is to head over to my sewing machine and hold in all the darts. Before holding in my darts, I will proceed to mark out my neckline allowance, which is ½ inch. I'm going to mark out that ½ inch so that when I head over to my sewing machine to turn the main fabric with lining, I will just follow the ½ inch for the v-neck and stitch on the line as shown. Okay, as a beginner in sewing, it's nice to mark these things so that when you head over to your sewing machine, it's easy to just stitch on the chalk markings you've already made. I would also go ahead to do the same thing for the back bodies of the jumpsuit so that when I head to my sewing machine, everything will be seamless. Also, do not forget to stitch the ½ inch allowance for the crotch after holding in your dart, of course, and do not forget to stitch the back part of the trouser using the ½ inch allowance we marked there as well. Okay, so let's head over to the sewing machine and do all I have said. Now here is the front bodies of the jumpsuit. I'm gonna head to take in the waist and the bust dart for the lining piece as well as that of the main fabric. As you can see, after taking in the dart, you can see that there's a bit of space for the bust to sit in. Now that our dart is already taken, I've also stitched the neckline just like I said. The next step now is to go ahead and notch. We need to notch the V neckline so that it rests properly. When notching, be careful not to notch and pass through your seam that you've already made. So just notch carefully so that the neckline rests properly when we flip it to the right side. We are still going to top stitch because top stitching will help it rest even better. Okay, do not forget to repeat the same process for the back bodies. The next step is to go ahead and top stitch, and to top stitch, make sure your allowance comes towards the lining piece, then proceed to top stitch. After top stitching, proceed to place your lining and the main fabric right sides facing each other, then stitch the side using the 0.5 inch allowance we added for that purpose before you flip it to the right side and iron. Do the same thing for the second back part as well. Top stitch, then stitch the side just like I've explained. For the front bodies as well, do not forget to also top stitch just like I'm showing you. I'm just going to quickly take it to my sewing machine so you see how I'm top stitching. After top stitching the front part, proceed to flip it to the wrong side and stitch the sides using the 0.5 inch allowance we added. Stitch at this side, then stitch the other side as well using 0.5 inch. Now here is the trouser part. I've gone ahead to take in the dart and I've also stitched the crotch area as well using the 0.5 inch allowance. Do not forget to iron the crotch open. Okay, now this is me on my sewing machine, finally trying to show you people how I top stitch on my sewing machine. Always ensure that the allowance is towards the lining piece if you want your top stitch to be perfect. Okay, after top stitching, I went ahead to stitch the sides just like I had explained. I told you guys that I was going to stitch the sides using 0.5 inch seam allowance that we added. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I would go ahead to flip it to the right side, then iron before I show you what it looks like. Do not forget to repeat the same processes for the back bodies as well. Top stitch and also stitch the side using the 0.5 inch seam allowance. Now here is the front and the back bodies after ironing. You can see that everything is laying very flat. The next thing we want to do is to join the shoulders, and we'll be doing this in a professional way. First, place the two sleeves just like I've placed mine, then pick the back part and just follow exactly what I'm doing. Place the front bodies inside the back part and flip it to the wrong side, then flip the back part to the wrong side. See, you need to watch this multiple times to get this procedure very well. So once you've done that, you would hold it. Just make sure that everything aligns very well, like the Ankara is matching with the Ankara part, the lining is matching with the lining part. If possible, use pins to hold it before you go to your sewing machine. But for me, I've been doing this for a while, so I can always, stitch on my sewing machine. But still, I'm still even trying to arrange it well. Then I'll take it to my sewing machine and stitch the shoulders using 1/2 inch seam allowance that I added at the shoulder for stitching the shoulders. Okay, see how beautiful the finishing for the shoulder area is looking, both in the lining part as well as the main fabric. Everything is looking nice. To make it even nicer, we're going to flip it back to the wrong side and notch the shoulder part, so that just to remove excess fabric, so when you flip it, that part is not too bulky. Okay, flip it to the wrong side, then reduce the bulk a little bit. After doing that, this is going to relax perfectly. Okay, there won't be excess bulkiness at that point. So proceed to flip it back to the right side and iron, as the case may be. The next step now is to join the second shoulder. Just go ahead to use the same process I used in joining the other shoulder. Now you can see how beautiful both shoulders are looking. You can see how nice both shoulders are looking. So the next step, guys, is to join the upper bodice to the trouser part, and I'm going to be starting with the front bodice and the front trouser part. I am going to place them right sides facing each other, and I'm going to go ahead to ensure that the darts align. You don't want to be that person that makes clothes and the darts are not aligning. Okay, you do not want to be that person. I'm going to go ahead to pin the darts to ensure that the darts align, after which I will head over to my sewing machine to stitch using 0.5 inch seam allowance. Take a good look at how the darts align. This is exactly what we want to achieve. Look at everything. Look at how the sides align. Everything is looking perfect. Okay, now it's time to join the back bodies to the back trouser part. If at any point you try to join your back bodies to your back trouser part and the dart does not align, just go ahead and loosen the dart of the trouser part and align it. Make sure it aligns with the dart of the bodice part. Okay, or you loosen the dart of the bodice part and make sure it aligns with that of the trouser part. Okay, at this point I realized that my darts were not aligning at the back, and I know the reason why. The reason is because after removing 1/2 inch from the back bodice for zipper bulge, we did not take that into consideration when marking our darts. I hope you understand. So instead of marking our dart directly after the zipper allowance and using that 3.5 inches as our dart, we should have just marked 4. If I had marked 4, everything would have aligned perfectly. So I went ahead to loosen it and just refix the dart and then join them together. That's just basically what I did. The next step is to join the back bodice to the back trouser part, just like I explained earlier. So what I'm going to do now is to pin the darts together to ensure that they align before I head over to my sewing machine to stitch. After stitching the first trouser and the bodice together, go ahead to stitch the second trouser and bodice together as well. The next step is to place the two back parts right sides facing each other in order to close the zipper allowance. I went ahead to mark my 1 inch zipper allowance and I connected the point, after which I went to my sewing machine to close the zipper allowance. After closing the zipper allowance, here is what I have. As you can see, everything is looking good. The darts align, and even the zipper area, everything aligns properly at the waistline. So what I'm going to do now is to head over to my ironing table to iron the zipper allowance area open. You're ironing the wrong side now and you're ironing it open. Can you see how laid it looks like inside? So to fix my zipper, I'm going to go ahead to loosen that point because I have ironed it, so the crease is going to help me fix my zipper easily. I'm just explaining all of this in case I have beginners watching this video. So I'm going to go ahead to loosen it from beginning to where I want my zipper to stop. I want my zipper to stop 9 inches after the waistline. That's what I went ahead to mark. So I'm going to loosen to that point, after which I'll head over to my sewing machine to backstitch, so that when I fix my zipper, it's not going to loosen. So I'm going to just backstitch. Now you can see the crease clearly, the crease I was talking about. So what I'm going to do at this point is to go ahead to pin my zip on that crease. I'm going to pin my zipper so that it's easy for me to fix when I head to my sewing machine. After pinning my zipper on the crease, I'm going to proceed to fix it using my sewing machine, as you can see, and that is going to be very similar. So if you've been having problems with fixing your zipper, you can try out this method and you will love it. It's just easy, very easy. So once I'm done fixing my zipper, I'll go ahead to join the sides using the 1/2 inch allowance we added for that purpose. So I'll join the sides, after which I'll join the inseam area, and yeah, the only thing left is to now add or fix a sleeve of your choice. Okay, so basically we are done with this sewing part. The only thing is to add a sleeve of your choice and to also hem the base of the jumpsuit. And like I said in the previous video, I wouldn't want to reduce this length further, so I am going to use a bias tape to hem the base of my jumpsuit. Okay, now I'm closing the inseam area of the jumpsuit using 1/2 inch seam allowance. If you want to see a tutorial on the sleeve I attached to the jumpsuit, do well to leave a comment in the comment section and I would attend to your request. Okay, so thanks for watching this tutorial and I'll see you in the next one.